I have never given away this much control of my TBR. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I'm going on a very exciting little adventure. I am on my way up to Cork in about 20 minutes, half an hour, and I am going for a personal shopper experience at their Dubray shop. You know that every book that I finish in every year, I put €1 aside, and at the end of the year, I really treat myself. In 2021, what I did was I got one of the Dubray shopper experiences in Cork. I picked up one of the vouchers there, and I said that when I came home during the summer, that would be like the perfect 30th birthday present to myself from the past. So today is Friday the 15th of July. I'm finished work. I am going up and I am going to meet with the lovely Quiva, who is going to take some shots of the shop as well with me. We're going to have a look around. I've asked her because I know her, we follow each other on Instagram with a while. She said she's got a couple of books already picked out for me, but if there's any that kind of catch my eye, we might take a look at them as well. If this experience sounds like something that you might want to give a try, and if you're living in Ireland, they have got a lot of branches right across the country. There's one in Cork, there's one in Galway, and there's loads of them in Dublin. You can head in and pay for one of the vouchers. It costs about €80, but it really is worth it at the end. When you sign up, you obviously get your gift card, which has their number on it that you'll need to sign up, but you also get a gift box with a stunning branded notebook as well that I have used countless times already. So you send them an email with the number on the back of your voucher, and they will send you on a form where you fill in all of your favorite books, all of your favorite authors, all of the things that you feel like you want to give a try to, but also some of the books that you don't love, some of the genres that you don't enjoy, so that they have a really clear picture of what it is that you're looking for. Then, of course, you pick your time, you pick your date, and they will assign somebody to you who has quite similar tastes to you have, and they will come to you with a huge list of recommendations, and you get to take home 5 of them. Now, I am cheating the system a little bit because for my birthday, I also got a €25 gift card from my parents. So I am probably going to come home with a couple of books extra, but I will only talk today about the books that I got with the personal shopper experience, how I found it, and whether or not I think you should give it a go too. Let's go. When you go in the Cork branch, for example, you're basically taken upstairs to a little window seat area where the person that you are matched with is going to sit down with you, and they give you this. It's basically an entire fact file of all of the books that they're going to recommend to you, and they do recommend you quite a few books. I think I was introduced to maybe like 20-25 books while I was up there. They have a little kind of fact file of every book that you wanted to read under every genre that you wanted to read, why they would recommend it, why they think it's a good match for you. And of course, you're allowed to ask questions anyway through the point. You're allowed to make suggestions. You're allowed to say, oh, I read this and I really enjoyed it, or I did hear recommendations or reviews about that I don't particularly subscribe to, which I did do for a couple of the books, because I know some people who have read one of the books that was recommended to me, and I just said, I've seen 2 reviews that I didn't like from 2 people whose tastes are very similar to mine or whose recommendations I trust. So it did put me off that one a little bit. With the €80 voucher, you actually only get books up to the value of €60 because you get included the tote bag that you get to bring the books home in, and the day that you book the appointment itself and go in and get the card, you're also given the Dubray notebook that I spoke about earlier on. Because I had a €25 voucher, I did put that on top of it, and that brought my total up to about €85. So I didn't really come home with too much of it. But if, like me, you have gone over that €60 limit, you can pay it with card, you can pay it with cash. You can, of course, pay it with another gift voucher, but just do be aware of that. So we come to the most important part. What you get, girl? So I'm going to pull them out of the bag. I don't know which one I'm going to put my hand on first. Whatever comes out, comes out. First off was Crying in H Mart. This is a non-fiction book that Caoimhe had read herself, recommended to me because something that I wanted was non-fiction, but I also wanted books that had very heavy descriptions of food, had really impactful descriptions of food. And she said, while there are some heavy topics in this, because it is about Michelle's grief after the death of her mother and her trying to reconnect with her Korean heritage, it is a beautifully written book and it has got some phenomenal descriptions of food. So once I heard that, I was in. Next one out of the bag is I Feel Bad About My Neck by Nora Ephron. I did mention to her that I was into non-fiction that had pop culture references. So I have got a copy of I'll Have What She's Having by Erin Carlson, which is a kind of a look back on the three big Nora Ephron rom-coms from the 1980s, 1990s. And as soon as she heard that, she basically said, okay, I'm going to look over at the non-fiction section, because I did ask her to take a look. But when she saw I Feel Bad About My Neck, and when she saw that it was written by Nora Ephron, she was like, okay, this is the perfect recommendation for you that I didn't even think about. So it is important to get everything that you are looking for on the page, because if you forget it, if you don't think about it when you're writing it down, if it just doesn't strike you when you're writing down your little email to them, you might have missed out, because I might have missed out on this if I didn't mention to Caoimhe that I was really into non-fiction that has references to pop culture or discusses pop culture in any way. Next up is, backwards, is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Okay, she sold it to me. And I know everyone and their mother has read this. I've seen people read this. I've heard about people read this. I've seen it on TikTok, I'd say more times than I've changed my socks. But I did want to discover a lot more historical fiction. I did want to kind of discover Greek myth retellings that you can see, because I have a copy of Ariadne also on my TBR. She really sold this to me as the retelling of Achilles and Patroclus, but it's written from Patroclus' point of view, and it's kind of how his life went from there. Now, I'm not entirely certain what the book is about, but it is definitely something that I am interested in giving a go. Next one out is Woman Eating by Claire Coda. I'm not big into vampire fiction, and when she said that it was about a vampire, I was like, okay. But then she went on about how even if you took the vampirism out of this book, it just reads like a contemporary literary fiction novel, that it is about a woman who is a vampire living in London at the moment, and unlike the vampires in Twilight, she's not a vegetarian. She does need blood to stay alive. So she goes out in search of pig's blood, which is not very common in the UK, but it's also kind of a discussion of what it's like when she isn't able to get that, how hungry she can get, what her life is like when she's not able to eat. And there are some discussions that it's kind of like an eating disorder. So if that is something that you're not comfortable with, do be aware if you're going into this book. But it just struck me immediately when she started describing it that I was so intrigued as to how it was going to be portrayed. Next up is Everything You Hate Is Going to Die by Daniel Sloss. As I said, I sent her kind of on a little trip to the non-fiction aisle again, and she just poked her head out and said, are you into comedy? And I just said yes immediately. Comedy is one of my biggest loves. And as soon as she held this cover up, I was just like, I love Daniel Sloss. So I knew this was coming home with me. I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but I do know that Daniel Sloss does a lot of comedy about relationships. I know that he has been second-handedly responsible for several breakups, divorces, all of that across the world, across the country. And I'm so intrigued to see what this book is going to be like, because I know that he has quite a deadpan, quite a kind of dry sense of humour. So I'm really interested to see how is that going to translate to the pages of a book rather than standing on a stage with a microphone in his hand. Final book for sure is Fingersmiths by Sarah Waters. This is going to be my first Sarah Waters book, and she recommended 2 historical fiction books that I kept. She recommended 2 historical romances, this and the first book in the Outlander series. And I could not decide between the 2 of them, but I knew I couldn't take both of them. I knew I only wanted to bring home one historical fiction and really dip my toe in there. And I just held up both of them to her and said, if you were to start one this evening, which one would you start? And she just went, Fingersmith. So that one came home with me. It's a lesbian story, it's a sapphic story, and I think she said that this is a really good introduction to Sarah Waters. If you're going to start, this is a good place to start rather than tipping the velvet. So let's see how we go. For €85, I got all of this tote bag, which is actually pretty cool. It has got an inside pocket, which not a lot of tote bags have, so this one is definitely going to be a keeper. And it also has a quote from William Butler Yeats on it. It has got the quote, "Take down this book and read slowly." Also, because I was standing at the desk and because they give them away for free, I got a couple of bookmarks coming home with me. So this one has a quote from Matilda by Roald Dahl, and there's other ones in here as well that I can't put my hand on at the moment. These ones just say "We live for books," and they're in the Dubray kind of branding colours. Also, as I said earlier, got the notebook. That has been a trusty favourite of mine. Every time I come home, I kind of write down what I've been doing when I'm back at home since I got it. I would definitely recommend this. I was just down talking to my parents and I showed them the books. I was telling them what the story was like, what the situation was like, and I was asked, would you do it again? And I said, absolutely. I think I won't do it this year for Christmas. I will definitely give myself maybe a year and a half to try and get through the pile, because it's a quite big pile. But it's definitely something that I think would be a good recommendation for somebody who's a really big book reader in your life. And I know that buying presents for a book reader can be quite difficult because they have a lot of the same books that they want to read, or they've read everything, so you're always a little bit, oh, what am I going to get for you? If you are in that boat and you're living in Ireland, I would absolutely highly recommend getting them the Dubray's personal shopper experience. It's such an informative hour, and it really did broaden up my taste, because Aoife without this would absolutely never have picked up The Song of Achilles. But when Caoimhe was describing it to me, I was hooked. There was something about how she described it that I knew, okay, maybe it's time to see how this lives up to the hype. That is my very honest opinion of how the Dubray shopper experience went, and whether or not I would recommend it to you or any book lover that's in your life. Have you ever done anything like this? Have somebody else tell you what you should be reading or giving you some advice on your TBR? Or is it something that you would do in the future? Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.